Hello everybody, welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're going to be looking at my top 10 favorite Denver Broncos players. Let's get started. Number 10, DeMarcus Ware. This guy won a Super Bowl with the Broncos. To be exact, he won Super Bowl 50. He was one of the best players at his position during the time, and still is one of the best outside ends. Number 9, Emmanuel Sanders. Now, if Emmanuel Sanders did not leave the Broncos and stayed with the Broncos for a little bit more, then he would have been higher on my list. But he's still on my list because he did win a Super Bowl with the Broncos, and he is a 2-time Pro Bowler and one of my favorite players. Number 8, Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis is on this list because he is the best running back that Denver has ever had. For sure. He won 2 Super Bowls with Denver and is a Hall of Famer. Number 7, Chris Harris Jr. This guy is one of my favorites because he has been with the Broncos for a very, very long time, and he won a Super Bowl with the Broncos. He is a future Hall of Famer in my mind because he has 20 interceptions. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler, and he was part of the 2010 All-Decade team. Number 6, Peyton Manning. Now, Peyton Manning would have been higher on my list because he is the second best quarterback of all time. But the reason why he isn't higher up on my list is because he was most famous and had most of his accomplishments with the Indianapolis Colts. But he still won a Super Bowl with the Broncos, and he holds 5 football world records. Number 5, Steve Atwater. Now, most people would put Steve Atwater lower on this list. They would put him at like 8 or 9, maybe not even on this list. But I really like Steve Atwater because he was just so fun to watch. He had the biggest hit I've ever seen. He would knock people out all the time. It was just hilarious watching him. And he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, both with the Broncos. He's an 8-time Pro Bowler, and he is recently a Hall of Famer. Number 4, Demaryius Thomas. Now, most people would have this guy higher on their list too, especially because I said I didn't like Emmanuel Sanders because he left. Demaryius Thomas left even before him. But Demaryius Thomas is one of the best receivers that Denver has had for a very long time. He's very good, and he's one of the first players that I've ever known. He won a Super Bowl with the Broncos as well, and he's the first player I ever knew. Number 3, Shannon Sharpe. It's hard not to put this guy on the list because he's just so good. He's probably the top 3 best tight ends to ever play in the game of football. He won 2 Super Bowls with Denver, and he's a Hall of Famer. Number 2, Von Miller. Now, this guy has the most sacks of the decade, which is just crazy because you're playing against people like Aaron Donald and just absolute beasts. So this guy, to have most sacks of the decade, is absolutely outstanding. He is by far, for sure, a future Hall of Famer. He won Super Bowl 50 with Denver, and he was the MVP of that game. He, personally, in my mind, has carried the Denver team since 2016, and is one of the few people who is still on today's Bronco team after winning Super Bowl 50. Last but not least, John Elway. This guy is the face of the Denver franchise. He is a 2-time Super Bowl champion, both with Denver. He is probably my favorite player in the league, for sure. But he's probably many other people's favorite player just because of how likable he is and how awesome it is to watch him. He has a cannon of an arm, and he always throws bullets. So much fun. And he was also a league MVP and Super Bowl MVP. And according to NFL.com, he's the 7th best quarterback of all time, which is kind of funny because he's number 7 on his jersey. And that is the list of my top 10 favorite Denver Broncos players. Thanks for watching.